In this video, I'm going to talk about things you should know before going to Germany. The first thing you should know, whether you're moving to Germany or you're just going for vacation, is get to know the culture a little bit. Watch some YouTube videos about travel in Germany, maybe read some books. If you're coming to Germany for vacation, it would do you some good to learn a little bit about German culture and history, so that when you see something that is pretty and historical, you'll have a deeper appreciation for it. If you don't want to do that, that's fine. Everybody loves looking at pretty things, but I think it would help enrich your vacation and your memories. Germany runs on a different electrical system than the United States. I can't speak for other countries, but for the United States, it runs on 110 volts, while Germany runs on 220 volts. This means things like your lamps and hair dryers, those sorts of small appliances, won't work in Germany. Even with a power adapter, they'll just fry up. So you may as well leave those at home and buy new ones when you get there. It's a lot easier and probably cheaper than buying transformers. And the products that they sell in Germany are the same, so you shouldn't have a problem there. Electrical devices like televisions and phone chargers, those sorts of things, will work in Germany with a power adapter. So you can take those things. As long as it says 110 to 220 on the back of the device, you should be good with a power adapter. One of the first things you should do when you arrive in Germany, if you're moving there, is to get your German driver's license. You'll have to do so within the first 6 months, or you'll have to do the classes and take everything all over again. So you may as well go ahead and get that over with. Along with that, you'll have to determine how you're going to get around. Are you going to take your car? Are you going to buy a car when you get there? Are you going to walk and use the U-Bahn? You'll have to determine that before you leave, especially if you want to ship your car, because shipping your car requires that it meet German standards, and not all American cars will do that. So you'll need to look at those requirements. You can always buy a car in Germany when you get there. Just know that the vast majority of cars in Germany are manual transmission, so you'll need to learn how to drive one if you don't know how to do so already. And really, it all depends on where you're going to live. If you're going to live in a big city like Berlin or Munich, having a car is more hassle than it's worth. And if it were me, I would just use the U-Bahn and walk, maybe buy a bike and use that as my transportation. If you're in a smaller city or village that doesn't have the public transportation that the bigger cities have, then you'll probably need to get a car. If you're still watching this video, thank you so much. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, make sure you go ahead and do so, and make sure you hit the bell icon so you'll get noticed when I post new videos. If you're planning on coming to Germany, what are some of the things that scare you about it? Leave me a comment below and let me know. Finding a place to live can be very difficult, especially in the bigger cities like Munich and Berlin. For instance, in Berlin, a landlord may have 50 or 60 people apply for their apartment. So just be prepared for it to take a little bit of time. You may need to start looking for an apartment before you arrive, so you'll prevent having to live in, hotels or with friends or whatever. So just be prepared for that. Also, you need to be prepared to pay a deposit of 2 to 3 months of cold rent. So rent is a little bit different than it is here. They call it Kaltmiete, or cold rent, and Warmmiete, or warm rent. Now, cold rent is without utilities, and warm rent is with utilities. Landlords usually ask for a deposit of 2 to 3 months of cold rent. So if the rent is, say, 400 euro, the deposit will usually be between 800 and 1200 euro, which you'll get back at the end of your lease. And leases, like most contracts in Germany, automatically renew. So if you plan on moving out of your apartment, you need to give the landlord 3 months notice, or the lease will automatically renew. Germany basically shuts down on Sundays through a law called the Ladenschlussgesetz. Forgive my German. This was a law that was enacted in 1956 that required many stores to close in Germany on Sunday. Now, you'll still find things like corner stores and gas stations and some other stores open. It's become a little bit more lenient, but don't plan on doing your grocery shopping on Sundays because everything will be closed. Also in Germany, they have quiet hours, or in German, Ruhezeit. I'm sorry, I try. The quiet time is from 8 p.m. to 7 a.m. and all day Sundays and holidays. Basically that means on Sundays you can't mow your lawn, hammer, do kinds of heavy construction, that kinds of things. You have to be quiet. This is different than it is here in the United States, but it's a way to, keep peace with your neighbors. And believe me, if you're loud, they will tell you, and they may even call the police. So really try to pay attention to the quiet hours, and if you're going to have a party on a Wednesday, you may need to rethink that. Be precise when you speak to Germans, whether you're speaking in English or in German. Germans like conciseness and they like precision. So don't try to sugarcoat things or say things in a roundabout way or be overflowy with information. That will annoy them. Also, you need to ask the question, if you're asking a question, you need to ask the question precisely and exactly what you're trying to find out. Because Germans will answer the exact question that you ask. We try to be diplomatic with our questions. They want precision, they want conciseness. And do not ask a question that you do not want an answer to. If you ask the question, does this shirt make me look fat? They're gonna tell you. So be prepared for that. It's not rudeness, it's just matter of fact. If you're asking the question, they assume you want to know the answer. Another good example of this is asking how are you? How is your day going? In America, we say, hey, how are you? Fine, good, thanks. It's a rote response. If you ask a German how they're doing, be prepared to find out exactly how they're doing, because they will tell you. Germans take recycling very seriously, so you'll need to be prepared for that. There are also deposits for bottled items like beer and stuff called a Pfand. So if you buy bottles of beer, there's usually a 25-cent deposit, and when you return the bottles, you'll get your deposit back. In your house, you'll have at least 3 different trash cans, one for glass, one for paper, one for plastic, and then your trash. So you'll actually have 4 trash cans. So be prepared for that. Finally, my last tip is to try to learn a little bit of German before you get there. Now, I'm not saying you need to be fluent, but learning some basic phrases will help you, and it'll show German people that you're trying. And in my experience, once I start trying to speak German to somebody, they realize I'm not good at it, so they'll start speaking English to me. And so it can be a good way to, show that you're not rude by just learning a little bit of German. I've been using Duolingo for the last 4 months, not sponsored, whatever. There are other programs out there also. Memrise is one that I've heard is really good. It'll help make the transition easier if you know a little bit of the language, and it won't be so daunting once you get to this foreign land that, you're just completely overwhelmed. So anything you can do to, prevent yourself from being overwhelmed, and you're going to be homesick already, and you're going to have culture shock already. So knowing these things will help you to acclimate to the country and to the culture, and the culture shock won't be quite so great. If you've moved to Germany, what are some of the things that you wish you knew before moving to Germany? I really hope you've enjoyed this video and found it helpful. If you have any questions, just leave me a comment or send me a message through Facebook or a DM through Instagram. I'll leave my contact information in the description box below for both. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I really appreciate it, and I will see you next time.